Welcome to Wine Time Mysteries, where we talk about true crime, the paranormal, mysteries, and cryptozoology with a dash of comedy. This podcast contains adult themes and is intended for mature audiences only. Don't forget to click follow and tickle that little notification bell. Now, find a comfy spot. We're about to start today's episode. Good morning, mung beans, and welcome to another one of Wine Time Mysteries episodes on death. Today's episode is going to be slightly different. It is not going to be based on serial killers. However, it does involve a lot of people getting sick and dying. Chills.
Get on with the story. I can't wait to hear it.
Alright. Today's episode is going to be broken up into a few separate little stories because it kind of needs to be. The first story today is Green with Envy. Oh. Do you like that title?
Oh, I do.
You're so welcome. In the late 1700s, a Swedish chemist named Carl Wilhelm Scheele had developed a green pigment from a compound of copper arsenate, lovingly named Scheele's green. After himself, of course. If you think that name is a bit shit.
I wasn't going to say that.
Have a look at the colour. Seriously, it's really not that good. By the early to mid-19th century, gone were white, drab, lime-washed plaster and brick walls, how common, and wallpaper was in. It had become the very epitome of modern home decoration. I can't imagine green wall. Much like today, there were magazines that told you what was on trend and what was recommended if you wanted to show your wealth and remain modern. Of course, people read this book and wanted it for themselves, so naturally, everyone had to have it. And boy, oh boy, they were using this crapshoot of a colour wherever and however they could. I'm talking wallpaper, furniture, art, toys, in the kitchen, at the bedroom, you name it, they did it. Strangely, people started experiencing red or swollen skin, warts and or lesions, abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, abnormal heart rhythm, muscle cramps and tingling in their fingies and tootsies. Gross. I hate tingles. But why in the Heckingtons were these people getting sick? Oh, that's right. It's because Sheila's green contained arsenic. My bad. Now get this. These brain boxes commonly thought that you could only get sick by licking the wallpaper, but little did they know that even if it was left untouched, Victorian wallpaper could still release flakes of arsenic into the air or produce arsenical gases when conditions were damp. And newsflash, Europe is a pretty damp place. Duh. Most European countries, however, cottoned on to what was happening, but not before people started dying slow and painful deaths. However, England scoffed at the very notion and decided that they would increase their wallpaper productions by 2,615% between 1834 and 1874. So that basically meant they went from producing 1,222,753 rolls of wallpaper to 32 million. All containing arsenic. Wow.
Ramp up those productions.
Yeah,
Duh.
that's right. And you know that Sheila's green was still being used in wallpaper up until the 1880s.
Fuck off.
Now, little fun fact, not fun. Napoleon is believed to have died from arsenic poison due to loving it so much that the colour adorned many a wall in his house.
Hopefully he didn't lick the walls.
He loved it, maybe he did.
I'm sorry, there's just one image I can't get. Sorry, he just likes to lick the walls.
Tasty.
That green's tasty.
Yeah. This next one is called Give Us This Day Our Daily Bread.
Oh.
With houses bursting at the seams like never before, the turn of the 20th century ushered in new concerns on how people were going to provide nutrition to themselves and their families. The class system was in full effect, so the wealthy were living in the lap of luxury, only buying the things that the affluent should buy. Nothing made in bulk, and certainly they would never be caught dead shopping in poor areas. The people who were struggling, however, did not have the same luck. Oh, to be poor. Wait, hashtag there.
Same.
Bread was affordable, well, only just, and it was a way to keep people's bellies full. Only the bread they were buying had a few secret ingredients. The better the bread, the more the baker could charge for it. So the goal was to have a nice, dense, white loaf. name of my porno. But bakers were crafty buggers and would substitute ingredients to maximize their profits whilst duping their customers by adding literal shit into the mix. And I'm talking about plaster of Paris, which is basically just like plaster, like, you know, the thing that you make like sculptures and shit from, chalk and or bones for whiteness, and alum lime to increase weight and bulk. Alum is an aluminium-based compound. And do you know what happens when you eat these ingredients?
You have really tasty food and you're like nice and full.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. So plaster and chalk led to problems with malnutrition, but alum produced bowel problems and constipation or chronic diarrhea, which was often fatal to children. And it was banned by Parliament, but the ban was ignored for the most part. Now, while we are on the topic of food and youth mortality, and man, it was lame to be a child in the 19th century, and even the mid-20th century, to be honest, and probably even today, if we're really, really honest, bread was not the only thing that was being defiled. Milky Titty Num Nums is the name of the next story. You're welcome. While bread was being fucked in the ass by bakers, milk was being violated by someone in the household. Someone you would normally count on to keep you safe, clean, and well cared for. This is not a blame game. Honestly, I don't believe for a second that these people knew that what they were doing would actually cause any harm to anyone. And I'm sure it is the last thing that any normal mother, quotation marks, would intentionally do. Long life milk wasn't a thing. Refrigerators were for the rich and no one had the money to buy milk every 2 days. So they had to figure out a suitable solution for everyone. No one wanted sour milk, especially when it was off, so instead of replacing it, Mummy would turn to good old and trustworthy Beaton's Book of Household Management, which gave them a very reliable way to remove the undesirable smell and flavor of sour milk and replace it with the sweet taste of death. What they would do... No, is it too much?
No, I'm sorry, I'm like, listening.
Boracic acid, otherwise known as hydrogen borate, which today is a popular ingredient in cockroach killer, was added to milk. Known today as boric acid, which is also the main ingredient in borax, a household cleaner.
Oh, that sounds tasty.
Better than sour milk? I don't think so.
Yummy.
Yeah. Small amounts of boracic acid could cause nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. And to make it worse, before they learnt to pasteurize their milk, it often carried bovine TB, which damages the internal organs and bones of the spine, leading to severe spinal abnormalities and eventual death.
No, thank you.
Getting it from both sides. Yeah. And I was worried that milk would just make me shit my pants in public.
Yeah, I was literally thinking about, what about people that was like lactose?
Oh well, it could have been worse. Here is the last story of today. The last topic. Oh. Toys, toys, toys!
Yes, yes, yes!
Get it! It was the year 1950 and a new toy was in town. The Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab. Try saying that 10 times fast.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I can't remember wanting anything like this when I was a kid. Chemistry was never really my thing, unless we are talking about the human body. But I imagine that there were quite a few children who wanted to grow up to be scientists. They were probably dying for it. Hashtag foreshadowing. The set originally sold for $49.50 USD, which would be the equivalent of more than $500 today.
Holy shit.
So that was a lot of money back then. And this kit was special because in addition to uranium-238, it had beta, ordinite, torbernite, uraninite. It sounds like a
Huzzah.
superhero. Carbonite and gamma radiation sources with a mere 60-page instruction book and guide for mining uranium. Yeah. Pop quiz. Do you know what the shelf life is for uranium?
Long time.
No, not long at all. Just 4.5 billion years. And that's nothing today, right? I mean, you'd only get like a mild dose of lung or bone cancer if inhaled or ingested. And this set was so dumb because honestly, I'll show you photos of it later, but it literally has these radioactive isotopes or whatever. All you are to do is they give you a Geiger counter and you just measure see what the measurements are, and then you're done. It's so stupid. It's the dumbest toy in the world. Other symptoms include nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, headache, fever, dizziness and disorientation, weakness and fatigue, hair loss, bloody vomit, and bloody stools from internal bleeding. Yummy. Yum, yum, not so yum. Production ceased due to lack of interest, and then in the 60s, the increased safety regulations for children's toys put a big fat stop to that.
No, we will not give this to children.
Yeah, but only after they decided no one wanted to buy it anymore.
That's so bad.
Just seems really weird. Anyway, that actually brings us to the end of today's episode, which was a little different than my normal content, but I felt like trying something different, so I did, and I hope you enjoyed it. Whatever. If you have anything similar to what we spoke about in today's app, or anything that you would enjoy us to talk about along the same sort of vein, just be sure to let us know. So visit our Instagram and click on our link tree in the bio, please.
Shut that way off.
And with nothing left to say, goodbye.